very frustrated. Like, we have people in the community who want to make a difference, and we're not able to do that.
I should at some point be able to speak up and have a controlling decision in what's done with my investment.
Austin is growing fast, and new housing developments often have a homeowners association that is supposed to work for you. But we have discovered a loophole in state law that leaves many of you without a say in what your HOA does and how it spends your money.
KXAN lead investigator Brian Collister found many homeowners say their voice is not heard in meetings because they don't control their own board, the developer does.
We found glass in the playscape, and we're out there cleaning it up. And if we didn't do that, there could be a kid that could slip, fall, cut themselves.
Reina Ortega worries her sons Jonas and Jason will get hurt when playing in her South Austin neighborhood park.
Are you okay? You're okay. You want to try again? Sometimes we come to the park and there'll be broken bottles or beer tops, condoms.
Left over from people hanging out in the park at night when the park is supposed to be closed. Ortega says her husband was even attacked earlier this year by a group of teenagers when he told them they couldn't be there after dark.
As he turns to leave, he gets hit in the side of the head with a branch, and he goes down.
Ortega and neighbors turned to their homeowners association here in Bradshaw Crossing, complaining for months about a lack of lights for safety in the park. This is what the park looks like during the day, and this is after sundown. But the HOA did nothing, and the park still sits cloaked in darkness as homeowners continue to pay their HOA dues.
That's pretty much my opinion, is they just don't want to do it.
It does make me mad. It's just, it makes everyone mad.
Robin Callan has lived in another South Austin neighborhood, Colorado Crossing, for 9 years. Since January of 2016, her HOA increased residents' dues by 33% to pay for this still unfinished pool and amenity center.
We don't have ownership of or control of the HOA as homeowners in the community. So in a sense, it's taxation without representation.
The builder of both neighborhoods, Lennar, controls the homeowners associations. That's because the way state law is currently written, there is no limit to what's called the development period, essentially how long a developer or builder can control an HOA.
Is there any way we can look at the plans of the park to see maybe back then the lights were supposed to be put in and they never got put in?
I can certainly take a look at that.
At HOA meetings like these, homeowners tell us they raise concerns but don't get results from the developer. So we caught up with a Lennar representative outside to ask why not give these homeowners control.
Well, because we're still the declarant of the HOA, and that's how they're designed.
Calling it a homeowners association is kind of misleading.
Real estate attorney Bill Davis helps homeowners sue their HOAs and has been involved in helping pass laws to protect homeowners. He says often neighborhoods are still in the development period, and many residents who live there still don't even realize it.
The restrictive covenants in the HOA are primarily used to shift control away from the homeowners into an entity that the developer controls.
It makes sense that a lender or an investor is going to want to make sure that that vision that they bought into when they made that investment comes to fruition. The only way to ensure that is if the developer is in charge of that association.
Susan Wright heads up the Property Owners Association task force at the Texas Association of Builders.
During that period, why not be more transparent and say, this is not a homeowners association, it's a developers association? Because most of the homeowners tell us when they move in, they don't know that.
But that's not true. That's not a true statement. You're creating a homeowners association that is bringing value. You create it so that they do have a mechanism. They bought into the values that come.
But aren't they under the perception that they're going to have a vote and a voice?
No, I don't think so. Absolutely. And if they are, it's because they've never lived in one.
It makes me not want to pay my dues. You just let it sit in the back of your mind and fester, and you just get angrier and angrier, and it's made a lot of us very unhappy.
Now, in some cases, homeowners might not know who controls their HOA because they simply don't know where to look. It can be easy to miss. But take a look at your HOA bylaws and covenants. Look for the word declarant. That's the legal term for the developer or builder. In these bylaws, it's Lennar. If the declarant has the right to appoint members of the HOA board, that means the developer essentially controls your HOA for as long as it wants. Homeowners can be appointed to a board, but typically they either don't have any votes or the declarant has the majority of the votes on the board.
And another thing we learned during this investigation, there is no state agency that oversees or regulates HOAs. But tomorrow night on KXAN News at 10, we talk to a local state lawmaker who has one of the fastest developing districts in Texas. Hear how he's now planning to tackle the issue ahead of the next legislative session.